All right, let's go ahead and get started. Hello, hello, welcome, welcome. Coach Kevin Sparks here. And very first thing I want to do is share with you my screen and go over some things really quickly that I believe will be helpful for you. First thing I'd like to share with you is we have a Facebook group that actually coincides with this meetup. We have the meetup Monday through Friday. It is 10 a.m. Pacific time where I'm at in San Diego area, California. Or if you're fully on the East Coast, that's 1 p.m. And if you're somewhere in the middle, it's whatever time it is for you. And we come together Monday through Friday for about 45 minutes for our actual training and discussion. And then typically what we'll do after the 45 minutes, I know a lot of people have things to do and they go, but I will stick around for sometimes 5 to 10, 15 minutes longer if people are still asking questions or engaged in the discussion that we're having. But I just want you to know that, hey, for those of you that's time sensitive, the idea is not to hold you hostage, okay? Um, what we do with these particular meetings, one of the reasons you want to join the Facebook group, first of all, we can interact with each other outside of that 45 minutes Monday through Friday. The other reason is, if as I scroll down here just a little bit, what I do, sometimes I have some special announcements or trainings that I'll throw in there. We happen to have one right here, the Rat Race Eliminator program. You might want to check that out. But what we do is you can see there's yesterday and there's the day before. And so what we do is we archive and put the videos, the recordings of the trainings in here. That way, if you have to miss a given day, maybe you can't make all 5 days a week, or maybe you wanted to, or maybe you thought, man, what happened today was pretty awesome. However, I forgot some of it, or I want to review some of it, or I want to go back over some of it. Well, typically either later today or sometime tomorrow is when you will find today's training posted here in the group. So just ask to join the group. Somebody I believe just did a moment ago. I'll get around to letting you in and just when we're done with the session. So wanted to share that with you. The other thing I want to share with you is you guys have the ability to go into chat. However, we're going to have time to interact with each other as far as at least me and everybody. Like I said, we're typically, what I like to do is go about 30 minutes or so, 30, 35, sometimes 40, but usually in that 30, 35 range. And then leave somewhere between 10 to 15 minutes for commentary from you guys, for whatever it is that you like to share, and or for questions that you have. And again, what happens frequently are people are pretty well engaged and want to keep going even when the meeting's over. So sometimes I'll stick around a little bit longer and keep going with you. But because of that, that is the time to ask questions, or but right now I'm not going to pay any attention to chat. Okay, so I just want you to be aware that if you're trying to chat to get my attention, I'm not going to be looking at it because I've got things to go through with you today. Okay, next thing I want to share with you. I want to share with you what we're in the process of going through at the moment. We're kind of breaking this apart and learning from it. We started it about, oh, well, let's see, yesterday was our 10th, I believe, time meeting together. So we're on number 11. And we are in the process right now, we've been doing this for several days, of tearing apart and going through this particular book. This book is called The Science of Getting Rich. You can go ahead and get a free copy for yourself very easily. How would you do that? You would just go to Google and type in The Science of Getting Rich PDF. Just go to Google, type in The Science of Getting Rich PDF. One of the things that will come up organically in the search, probably number one, maybe number two, is going to be connected to a website called thesecret.tv. That's the one I chose. Why did I choose that one? Well, partly because it popped up there. I already own the book on Kindle and in paperback and whatnot. I even have a lot of material around the science of getting rich, excuse me, that I've created on my own and has been given to me by one of my personal mentors and trainers, Bob Proctor. However, I wanted something that we could go through together for free, and so that we could potentially be on the same page if we want to. You can see here we're on page 56 of 77 of this PDF file. I don't know if it's that page in the book, but it's that page of the PDF file, okay? But if you want to go get a copy for yourself and follow along and or use it to get caught up with us or whatever, now you know where you can go find one. Or you could just follow along with us here, because I'm going to keep my screen shared while we're going through the book. What I'll do is I'll read some of the book and then I will give commentary. But why did I choose this as something to start out with? I have a lot of things that I'm going to share with you as time goes on in addition to this book. But the reason I chose to share it is I've been coaching people now for a while. And I've been coached directly by Bob Proctor, and I've worked together with other people in the field of personal development. I've also had the opportunity to work together with Robert Kiyosaki very closely, and his partner at the time, who was Sharon Lechter. So I would say that Robert Kiyosaki and Sharon Lechter have had a big influence on me working together with them. They actually asked me to be a consultant and help them grow their business years ago, which I did. And in the process, I got to see the inside workings of how their business functions and got to know them pretty well. So it was a growth opportunity for me, for sure. Even though I was helping them out, I definitely learned a lot in relationship to being an entrepreneur, around business, around how money works and investing, mostly on a practical level. Okay. I believe that they both actually believe in the law of attraction to some extent. They just don't preach it necessarily. Okay. Bob Proctor, on the other hand, if you've heard of if you haven't heard of Bob Proctor, here's how you might know about him. If you've seen the movie The Secret or read the book The Secret, he's heavily highlighted there. He's written his own book called You're Born Rich. And Bob has been in the personal development field now. He was started off at age 27. He is now, I believe, I know he's at least 86. He might have had his 87th birthday already this year. I don't know. So Bob he's been in the personal development field working on that for 60 years. That's a while. And a few years into that journey, he met people. He met Earl Nightingale and Lloyd Conant. Now, most of you guys won't know who that is, but many of you will, depending on your age and how long you've looked into personal development. But Earl Nightingale and Lloyd Conant created the Nightingale Conant Corporation. Why did they do that? Well, what happened is that Lloyd Conant actually read the book, The Science of Getting Rich. Shared it with Earl Nightingale. Together, after reading and studying this material in this book, made up their minds that they were going to create the first and foremost personal development company in the world. So they were the first essentially creators of personal development material as far as mass production goes for the general population out there. Bob Proctor ended up coming together with them and having them be mentors of his, and they shared this book with him. And when Bob got a hold of this book, he's essentially read some of it every day ever since. And he has created seminars and workshops, not just these pages, but added a lot to it. And I personally attended one of those. He had a facilitator and coach by the name of Leslie Householder. I went to a 3-day seminar, and as a result of that seminar, I had a lot of ahas that happened. Leslie gave me a self-study course that was created by Bob after the seminar to go along with what I'd learned in the 3 days. And I took that self-study course, and then over a period of the next 2 to 3 months, pretty much devoured it. I was in it at least an hour to 3 hours a day. And this was mid-February of the given year. Well, by April 1st of that year, actually March 31st, I'd quit my final job, and by April 31st, I was now no longer employed by anybody. Interestingly enough, my income from my job at the time was about $5 to $6 grand a month. From April through December of that particular year, my income jumped up, and when I took the average, it had, when I say highs and lows, the lows weren't really low. Okay, the high was pretty high. It was nearly $90,000 in a month, but the average was $50,000 a month. Interestingly enough, Bob had asked me if I would like to turn my annual income into my monthly income. through the training. And I thought about it and I'm like, is that even a possibility? I mean, yeah, maybe over a long period of time, that's a possibility, but is that a possibility? Bob's talking about doing it within about a year or so to maybe 2 years. And I'm like, I don't know. But as I started to study more and go through the material, it happened for me. I missed it by just a little bit, right? $50,000 a month average, but hey, that's close enough to $5,000 a month. At least it was 10 times what it was instead of 12 times would have been what Bob was talking about. And since then, I found out that Rhonda Byrne afterwards, she's the creator of the movie and the book, The Secret. She was given the science of getting rich by her daughter. And that is the reason she chose to create the movie and the book, The Secret, because of what the science of getting rich did for her. So I figured if that has been good enough for all of these wonderful people, that's good enough for me too. And that's probably good enough for you guys. So I just thought it would be a good place to start. But like I said, we've been going for a while, but we do have the 10 recordings in there. So you can go back and review if you like to. I am going to jump in right now and start reading and share possibly some commentary as we go along. And then, like I said, towards the leave ourselves with some time for comments and questions and answers. And I just lost my spot, but that's okay. I'll find it in a sec. I think I might be going the wrong direction.
It was page 56, Kevin, out of 77.
All right, thank you. You're awesome. Thanks for that help. Get going here. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. All right, the next page. Here, come on. All right, good thing you don't have to be perfect to manifest good things in life. All right, so we're on a particular chapter. I'm not sure the exact chapter number, but it is called Efficient Action. Now, this particular book was written by a gentleman by the name of Wallace Wattles. Definitely a different kind of a name, right? It was published originally in 1910. So I'm bringing that up for you to understand that he speaks a little differently than we do today, and he wrote a little bit differently than we do today. But please don't get hung up on that, okay? He's going to talk about some things that I might need to give some commentary because he may have gone into pretty deep discussion in previous chapters, and I might need to catch up at least a little bit for this chapter. We'll see as we go through it. Efficient action. You must use your thought as directed in previous chapters and begin to do what you can do where you are. And you must do all that you can do where you are. You can advance only by being larger than your present place. And no man, so there's an example, right? Instead of person, because of the time frame in which it was written. I can say no person though. And no person is larger than their present place who leaves undone any of the work pertaining to that place. The world is advanced only by those who more than fill their present places. If no person quite filled their present place, you can see that there must be a going backward in everything. Those who do not quite fill their present places are dead weight upon society, government, commerce, and industry. They must be carried along by others at a great expense. The progress of the world is retarded only by those who do not fill the places they are holding. They belong to a former age and a lower stage or plane of life, and their tendencies toward degeneration. No society could advance if every person was smaller than their place. Social evolution is guided by the law of physical and mental evolution. In the animal world, evolution is caused by excess of life. When an organism has more life than can be expressed in the function of its own plane, it develops the organs of a higher plane and a new species is originated. There never would have been new species had there not been organisms which more than filled their places. The law is exactly the same for you. Your getting rich depends upon your applying this principle in your own affairs. Every day is either a successful day or a day of failure. And it is the successful days which get you what you want. If every day is a failure, you can never get rich. While if every day is a success, you cannot fail to get rich. If there is something that may be done today and you do not do it, you have failed insofar as that thing is concerned. And the consequences may be more disastrous than you imagine. Okay. You cannot foresee the results of even the most trivial act. You do not know the workings of all the forces that have been set moving in your behalf. Much may be depending on your doing some simple act. It may be, and I'm not reading this now, I'm saying this, you may be giving inspiration, revelation, intuition to take an action. Okay, this is a lot of what he's talking about right here. And if you don't follow up on that, okay, you may not receive what it is that you want, because God and the universe have been lining things up for you to receive what it is that you've asked for, what it is that you've actually imaged, what it is that you visualized, what it is that you felt is already yours. And if you don't follow that inspiration, revelation, intuition, you might miss out on doing that simple thing that you needed to do to receive it. And now, in order for you to receive it, other things have to be organized, and it could take some time to do that. Okay, because then they have to go a different direction with what they're doing. It may be the very thing which is to open the door of opportunity to very great possibilities. You can never know all the combinations which Supreme Intelligence is making for you in the world of things and of human affairs. Let me repeat that. You can never know all the combinations which Supreme Intelligence is making for you in the world of things and of human affairs. Your neglect or failure to do some small thing may cause a long delay in getting what you want. Do every day all that can be done that day. There is, however, a limitation or qualification of the above that you must take into account. You are not to overwork, nor rush blindly into your business in the effort to do the greatest possible number of things in the shortest possible time. You're not to try to do tomorrow's work today, nor to do a week's work in a day. It is really not the number of things you do, but the efficiency of each separate action that counts. Every act in itself, or every act is in itself either a success or failure. Every act in itself either effective or inefficient. Every inefficient act is a failure. And if you spend your life in doing inefficient acts, your whole life's going to be a failure. The more things you do, the worse for you. That's why just going around trying to work harder may not cut it, guys and gals. It just might not. Because you might be taking inefficient action that is not going to be effective in receiving what you want. So doing more of it is not going to be helpful, because it might not be the thing you ought to be doing. Let God and the universe guide you, as we've talked about in previous chapters. Because the more things you do, the worse for you if all your acts are inefficient ones. On the other hand, if every efficient act, or on the other hand, every efficient act is a success in itself. And if every act of your life is an efficient one, your whole life must be a success. Okay? The cause of failure is doing too many things in an inefficient manner and not doing enough things in an efficient manner. Let me repeat that. The cause of failure is doing too many things in an inefficient manner. You're doing things that aren't going to work, okay? And then you're not doing enough things in an efficient manner. You're not doing enough of the things that will work. How do you know what will and won't work? Go back to previous chapters and understand that knowing what you want and being very clear about it and impressing that upon God in the formless substance, that impression will allow God in the formless substance to bless you with inspiration, revelation, and intuition, so that you will know the actions to take. It doesn't come necessarily instantly. It comes when you start truly believing that you're going to receive what it is that you want, because in your own mind and imagination, you've already received it. You will see that it is a self-evident proposition that if you do not do any inefficient acts, which would be awesome. I wish I could say I never did any, okay? Luckily, I'm doing more efficient than non-efficient, or I'd be in trouble. but I don't think there's anybody on this planet that does 100% everything efficiently, but that's part of the goal. You will see that it is self-evident proposition that if you do not do any inefficient acts, and if you do a sufficient number of efficient acts, or inefficient, well, you get my point if you're watching. Don't do inefficient acts, do efficient acts, okay? You'll become rich. If now it is possible for you to make each act an efficient one, you can see again that the getting of riches is reduced to an exact science, like mathematics. The matter turns then on the question as to whether you can make each separate act a success in itself. And this you can certainly do. You can make each act a success because all power is working with you, and all power cannot fail. In other words, doing this correctly, you end up with God and the universe's help. They're on your side, and they're going to win, okay, if you put that into practice in your life. Power is at your service. And to make each act efficient, you have only to put power into it. So what does that mean? Again, let God and the universe help you out with it. Don't do it all on your own. Please don't. It doesn't work. It definitely doesn't work on the creative plane. And on the competitive plane, you're going to burn yourself out. If you're wondering what I'm talking about, you'll need to go back and read some previous stuff and go through some previous training. But power is at your service. And to make each act efficient, you have only to put power into it. Every action is either strong or weak. And when everyone is strong, you are acting in the certain way which will make you rich. Every act can be made strong and efficient. And here's how you do it. How do you make each act strong and efficient? By holding your vision while you're doing it and putting the whole power of your faith and purpose into it. It is at this point that the people fail who separate mental power from personal action. They use the power of mind in one place and at one time, and they act in another place and at another time. So their acts are not successful in themselves. Too many of them are inefficient. But if all power goes into every act, no matter how commonplace, every act will be a success in itself. And as in the nature of things, every success opens up the way to other successes, right? The rich get richer. Your progress toward what you want and the progress of what you want toward you will become increasingly rapid, which is really cool. Remember that successful action is cumulative in its results. Since the desire for more life is inherent in all things, when a man begins to move toward larger life, more things attach themselves to him, and the influence of his desire is multiplied. Do every day all you can do that day, and do each act in an efficient manner. In saying that, you must hold your vision while you're doing each act, however trivial or commonplace. I do not say that it's necessary at all times to see the vision distinctly to its smallest details. It should be the work of your leisure hours to use your imagination on the details of your vision and to contemplate them until they are firmly fixed upon memory. If you wish speedy results, spend practically all of your spare time in this practice. So that is how you get it to be impressed on your subconscious, which will then impress it on formless substance, okay? By continuous contemplation, you will get the picture of what you want, even to the smallest details, so firmly fixed upon your mind and so completely transferred to the mind of formless substance that in your working hours, you need only to mentally refer to the picture to stimulate your faith and purpose and cause your best effort to be put forth. Contemplate your picture in your leisure hours until your consciousness is so full of it that you can grasp it instantly. You will become so enthused with its bright promises that the mere thought of it will call forth the strongest energies of your whole being. Let us again repeat our syllabus, and by slightly changing the closing statements, bring it to the point we have now reached, okay? There is a thinking stuff from which all things are made, and which in its original state permeates, penetrates, and fills the inner spaces of the universe. A thought in this substance produces the thing that is imaged by the thought. Man can form things in his thought, and by impressing his thought upon formless substance, can cause the thing he thinks about to be created. In order to do this, man must pass from the competitive to the creative mind. He must form a clear mental picture of the things he wants and do, with faith and purpose, all that can be done each day, doing each separate thing in an efficient manner. Okay, where are we? Good. Yeah, a little more discussion time today. Sometimes we have a little bit less. This time we have just a little bit more. Before we do that though, let's see, I'm going to come off screen share here. And before I get to the ground rules of how we do this, I want to share with you, because it's been talking now about this formless substance stuff. What is that, right? Wallace Wattles in the book is going to talk about thinking substance, formless substance, intelligent substance, and things like that. From a scientific standpoint, our day and age, you can substitute the words energy, or if you prefer, you can substitute the word matter, energy and or matter, okay? Thinking stuff, let's talk about that for just a second. What do you mean energy and matter? It thinks. What it does is it receives impressions from us. Our thought creates emotion, and our emotion creates vibration, and the energy picks up on that vibration. And then what it does is it wants to mirror back to us the essence of what it is that we're vibrating. So that is how it communicates. That is how it feels. That is how it thinks. Now, it doesn't discern between good, bad, right, or wrong. That's not its purpose. Its purpose is just there to communicate back and forth and to express out in physical reality the things that we want to manifest. It's there to help us do that. Okay, so let's talk about God for a moment. If you believe in God, if you don't, you could kind of, tune out a little bit. That's okay. Just don't be obnoxious with this. Okay, a lot of people do believe, and most people do believe in some form of higher power. This is just my personal thoughts on this, because a lot of people think that the universe and the stuff and God are one and the same. Okay, sort of, but then why could somebody do something evil, right? And impress on formless substance things that are bad and negative and manifest bad and negative? Well, that's because the stuff doesn't discern good, bad, right, or wrong, because the stuff isn't God. The stuff has always been there, but it doesn't necessarily, again, think it responds. We, however, are intelligences. We do originate thought, and it responds to our thought. Okay, so then who's this God character potentially? Again, my thoughts and feelings, you don't have to agree, it's okay. I just want to share to make a little distinction. It has helped me a lot, okay? I personally believe that God is someone very similar to us. Maybe he and, maybe God or whatever gods have lived so far are exactly like we were. And they've already gone through this process. So I'm going to look at it this way. God is someone like me, way smarter than I am at this point, okay? But someone like me who's had the opportunity to live a very similar life. Maybe they didn't have the same profession, maybe they aren't bald like I am or whatever, doesn't matter, but they've had a chance to live and they've moved on to the next chapter of their progression. Matter of fact, God has probably moved on so many chapters ahead. And God now, through all the learning and time that has passed, has learned how to work with formless substance in such a way that when God wants something to happen, there's no doubt, fear, worry, concern that what it is that he's thinking and what it is that he says will actually come about. So it can respond immediately to him because there's no barrier between God and that substance. And again, God doesn't put out conflicting thoughts. He's in harmony with himself. So he's not going to put out something that says, oh, I want this, and then I changed my mind, I want that. Okay. You know what I'm going to do? Nah, what do? I don't know what I want. Can you imagine? Right? No, I don't know how long God's been around. Here's what I know. God's learned enough about how to work with this substance that it responds to him perfectly. However, God is allowing us the same process to go through what he went through. And so eventually it could be over who knows how long. It doesn't even matter, right? We're going to live on earth somewhere on average, these days, 80 to 100 years old, or maybe a few more. Okay. It doesn't matter how long we live on earth. It doesn't matter how much we know when we leave this earth for our next stage of development. It may take us 1,000 years. It may take us 1,000,000 years. It may take, time is not a concern at this point. But just understand that God is where we receive our personal revelation, inspiration, intuition from, because we're asking questions about how to accomplish what we want, and he's already been there, done that sort of thing. So the formless substance isn't things speaking to us. The formless substance is just responding the way it responds to God. God is the one, though, who will respond by giving us answers, so to speak, to our prayers. So they work in harmony with each other. And what God wants us to understand is how to work with this substance, because even our bodies are physically made out of it. The water we drink, the air we breathe, which we can't even see, is filled with formless substance. So since that has always been there and is always going to be there, he wants us to understand how it works. Now, again, it doesn't matter how long it takes us to get there. I don't know if in this stage of our development as intelligences, if we're in grade school or if we're in nursery school. Okay. But I don't believe that we're in graduate school yet. Okay. I believe that we may not even get to graduate school before we leave the planet. But here's what we can do. We can allow God to help us. And I believe that's part of why you're here right now with us, to put you in a direction to say, hey, there are things I want in my life. I don't feel like I've become all that I'm capable of becoming. I don't feel like I've been able to do all the things I truly want to do. And I truly don't have all the things that I really want to have. And I recognize that I'm stuck. All right. At whatever level you're at, people get stuck at all different levels in their life. But being stuck is essentially this. There are things that you want to be, do, or have in your life, and you haven't done it yet. It's really kind of that simple. Somebody might need $100,000 to go get some of that stuff done. Somebody might need $1 million to get it done. Some people might need billions of dollars to accomplish what it is that they want. We're not here to compare with each other or to judge each other or any of that. We're here to learn how this all works, so that then we can work with formless substance and have it help us manifest what we truly want in our lives. Okay. So I just thought I'd need to make that kind of clear, because it's been talked about in previous chapters, and that would at least get you caught up a little bit with what we're talking about. All right. So here are the ground rules for the moment. You can ask questions about what we read or what we've been talking about. You can share ahas that maybe you have. If you have personal experience with some successes in relationship to manifesting things in your life, and particularly specifically around money and wealth, please feel free to share those. This isn't the place for you to come, though, and sit around with us and share, your business opportunity or something like that. That wouldn't be appropriate. Okay. Because everybody's opportunity is going to be guided by their personal revelation, inspiration, intuition that they receive. Okay. And we don't know. I don't know what that is for you. You will know what that is for you when the time's right and when you've done the right things to receive that. But what we'll do, the other thing you can do is ask questions. Okay. It's helpful if it's around, obviously, the topics that we're on today. But if you've got something else that's in relationship to this and you got a question, that's cool too. So what I'd like you to do, if you want to, is you can go ahead and come off mute and just start talking. The first person who talks gets to go first, the second person second, and so on and so forth. I'm not going to look in the chat box, though. It's just, it distracts me doing it that way. I'd rather have you come off mute, share your comment or ask your question, and then we'll go from there. Cool? So anybody who has any questions, comments, whatnot, go for it.
Question.
Yes.
This is Rika.
Hi, Rika. I see your eyebrows.
Sorry.
That's
it's
okay.
The only way. If I don't keep my screen this way, then you'll see me, but I don't see you. I'd rather see you.
No problem.
On
nice
the
eyebrows.
On the efficient action,
Uh-huh.
hold your vision while you're doing an action towards attaining your goal.
Mm-hmm. So is that a statement or a question?
It's kind of it's a statement that's what I'm understanding. It's a question. Am I accurate? Is there more to it? Am I not
That's-
quite getting it?
No, you're pretty accurate there. What it is the first thing here's where people kind of get messed up. Okay. Well, first, okay, number one, you get messed up because you don't know what you want. That would be the very first place that the whole thing could get gummed up. Okay. Not actually deciding. And a lot of us, we don't want to decide because we got FOMO. FOMO, right? Fear of missing out. If I
Yes.
make a decision, that means I'm deciding against everything else. Here's how I would look at life a little bit differently if I were you. It might help you chill out a little bit. I don't mean you specifically, right? But us in general, chill out. If I'm going to live forever, maybe not physically here the way I'm living today, but if I'm an eternal being and my job in life is to progress and unfold to become all that I can become, does the amount of time it takes me to do that really matter very much? Not really, right? So first, I would say, so chill, right? Chill a little bit. So now if I can chill a little bit and go, okay, so what I want to do is learn how to think. I think Einstein said something similar to this. He goes, I want to know, I want to learn how to think. I want to know what God thinks. The rest are details, right? That was Einstein, okay? So what we want to do is say, hey, look, I want to learn how the laws govern the universe that I live in. And I don't want to be fighting against those laws. I want to be working with them. Because if I can figure out how to work with them, I don't get so beat up. I don't get harmed so much. So how do I go about doing that? So the first thing is to go, okay, what do I want? Not what do I want necessarily forever, but at least for now, what is it that's coming out of me? What is it inside that I'm really feeling this burning desire to have difference in my life, right? What is it that I'm not satisfied or happy with? Now, that doesn't mean once you achieve or receive or manifest whatever that new thing is, that you won't want to move on to something above and beyond what it is. It just means that for right now, intuition is telling you, your inside is telling you, you're capable of more than you've done so far, of becoming, doing, and having what you've done so far, or what you're currently doing. Maybe you've done pretty great, now you're in the dumps, COVID or whatever, right? But the point of it is that you've got to decide what you want. Once you've decided what you want, then you work on impressing that upon formless substance, energy, matter, right? But you do have something else you've got to impress first, because this is what's going to help you impress it on formless substance. That is your subconscious mind, because it's really your subconscious mind that puts out the vibration and makes the connections. What is your subconscious mind and what is its purpose? Your subconscious mind actually has a very specific purpose, okay? It's actually to help you progress, but its very first purpose is to keep you alive. It wants to keep you alive and it wants to keep you safe. Now, what is the subconscious mind's definition of what is safe? Because we have to understand that the subconscious mind uses a different dictionary than we do. The subconscious mind says, okay, safe in its dictionary means what is normal. It thinks what is normal is safe. But then you got to understand, what does normal mean in its dictionary? The subconscious mind also, like formless substance, doesn't determine good, bad, right, or wrong. It's just our link, okay? It has a purpose, but it's not to determine good, bad, right, or wrong. Its purpose is to put things on autopilot. And that's what it tries to do for you. So it says, what is normal? So you look up what's normal. It doesn't mean what's normal in the outside world. It means what is normal to you, what has been normal in your world. And how's it going to decide what's normal for you? It's whatever it is that you've been allowing to happen in your life up to this point. It's whatever programming got in there when you were young. It's whatever's hit you from outside through the society we live in. It's whatever has been programmed into your mind. So once it has a program in the mind and it says that is normal, even if it's bad for you, that is what your subconscious mind is going to help you do. So when you come back and tell your subconscious mind, you know what? You know, this life I've been living all this time, this income of $30,000 a year that has not been enough because I have to borrow every year to pay for my life. That's not really supposed to be normal. Subconscious mind could care less. So you tell your subconscious mind, your new normal. And you tell your new normal is, you know, $100,000 is just a for instance. Well, your subconscious mind goes, that's scary. That's not safe. That's not normal. So now you got a problem. You got one of the most powerful things in you running the show, and you're trying to tell it you want things to be different, and it's trying to run the show. So you have to figure out, and I can help you with this, okay? But you got to figure out how to get your subconscious mind to agree with you that normal is now $100,000. And maybe not the dollar amount. I'm just using that as a representation. The lifestyle that you would be living if you had that $100,000 versus the lifestyle you're living with the $30,000. Let me give you an example of the subconscious mind right now. And anybody can come off mute, you know, and wants to answer really quickly. I'm going to do a quick little exercise here. What's 3 times 7?
21.
6 times 8?
48.
48.
Okay, 48. Yeah, I mean, 3 times 5?
15.
15.
Okay. What is 127 times 327?
1
No
second.
clue.
Can we use the calculator?
Well, sure you can. Here's the point.
4.
Every one of us knows how to get the answer. One of you said, can we use a calculator? Answer is yes, you can.
41,402.
I really don't care what the answer is, though. I'm just giving you an example. Some of us could do it in our head, but not as quickly as the other ones, right? Some of us, we can write it down and figure it out because then we can break it apart and do it with a pencil or pen. Some of us use our pencil and pen, and we do that. We break it apart in our head and spit out. But we can't just bam, bam, bam. Now, I'm not saying every person on the planet can. There are some math whizzes out there. Okay, they can. However, why were you able to do that? Most of us on here are 18 or older, okay, today. I don't know, maybe we got a 12-year-old on here somewhere. But most of us are adults that are on this. I'm 52, okay, that's my current age. I haven't studied my times tables in a long time. Now, partly I use it in life, okay? But the main thing is when we were younger in elementary school, probably, or at least early junior high, I forget, we were drilled with the times tables, weren't we?
Yeah.
Absolutely. And here we are anywhere from 1 year to 60, 70 years, depending on our age, later, and we can just bam, 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 right? It may have taken 2 seconds, right? But for the most part, what we did is our subconscious mind is designed to put things on autopilot. That's why we don't die when we go to sleep, because it runs all the functions it needs to on autopilot. Well, the multiplication tables have become autopilot for us. What? How many of you, you know, most of us are old enough that we know how to tie our shoes. Do we have to retell ourselves every time we look to tie our shoe how to go tie our shoe? I guess if we've only had slip-ons for the last 100 years, right? But if we learned how to tie our shoes, and probably if we tied our shoes for 5, 10, 15 years, then we go to slip-ons. If we have to tie a shoe, we don't have to go down there and think about tying our shoe. We just tie our shoe, right? Why can we do that? It's autopilot. Our subconscious mind was designed for us to learn how to master something and then put it on autopilot so that we can then learn how to master something else and put it on autopilot. And then we can learn how to master something else and put it on autopilot. Oh, that's how we keep from getting scrambled of having, if we had to think every time we jumped in a car to go drive it somewhere, like we did when we first started driving, that'd be crazy, right? Now we do all kinds of things while we're driving, whether we should or not doesn't matter. There are people on their cell phones while they're driving. Okay, that's illegal, don't do it, it's not safe. you know what? Probably not a good idea. However, if you've done it so long and you grew up with cell phones and everything, it probably isn't quite as dangerous for you as it would be for somebody who wasn't used to having cell phones. Some of the older generation, if you're trying to text and drive, you're probably the one that's going to kill somebody. Funny enough, it probably won't be the 20-year-old that kills someone that way, because it's become a subconscious thing for them. All right. But your subconscious has been programmed up to this point. 95 to 97% of what you're getting right now is a result of your programs. And your subconscious mind is trying to keep you safe. And its definition of what is safe is what is normal for you. So whatever has been programmed into you at this point, that is what it thinks is normal, because it doesn't decide good, bad, right, or wrong. It doesn't know that if you've been in abusive relationships over and over and over again, the subconscious mind doesn't determine that that's bad. Now you determine that's bad, but the subconscious mind hasn't determined that's bad. Subconscious mind says, well, that's normal. So the next time you go into a relationship, you're going to get in another one just like it. Your subconscious mind is going to do the same thing for money. By the way, we are just a hair over time. I'm going to keep going. If you've got to go, I get it. Okay. But I'm going to stay with you guys probably until 11 o'clock my time to share a little bit with you. What you got to do.
Kevin,
Yes.
I
Yes.
have a quick question. I'm sorry to interrupt.
That's okay.
How do you well, maybe I shouldn't say finalize, but how do you select what you want? For example, I would love to be a PGI consultant.
Okay. I know what that
And
is.
yeah, and I want financial freedom.
Okay.
So how do I select one, or do I have to select one or the other? That's the one thing that has been a challenge for me. I know I want financial freedom overall, but do I necessarily make my focus through a specific career?
Aha. Okay. I like the question.
Stephen, I have a question.
Oh, okay. Let me answer the question, then I'll come to your question. I mean,
All right.
you guys can keep asking questions, but then you'll get no answers. Okay. Okay. So we're going to have fun. I might even stay a little longer. I'm not going to keep, again, if anybody has to come off at any given time, just do so. Okay. I know what a PGI consultant is. Okay.
What is it?
A lot of you
Well,
guys are
what
like,
is
what the
that?
heck is that? Proctor Gallagher Institute, which is Bob Proctor's company, which are people that can be trained to be facilitators and coaches for his company and create their own business out of it if they like to. However, because I have done it, there's a cost involved with that training. Do you think it's $100? No. It's
Far from it.
far from it. It's $30,000 right now, and it continues to go up. Okay, or at least that's what it was back when I did. I don't know what it is today. However, here's the better question that you asked. Do I focus on the profession or do I focus on what I want? Well, guess what? I'm friends with Bob. I am in masterminds with other PGI consultants. I've been a PGI consultant. I actually have some of those people that we coach each other, but I'm not a PGI consultant now. Did Bob do something that piss me off? No. Okay. Here's what you focus on, and this is where people get hung up. You are asking me, should I focus on I'll use the word channel. Some people will say source. I like to use the word channel because I'd like to say that God and the universe are the source, right? So when Bob talks about multiple streams of income, MSIs, right? Multiple sources of income, it's just because MSI is what's stuck in his head. But there's only one source, God and the universe. But there are different channels through which we can receive things. Most of us get hung up on the channel. Or here's a perfect one. I joined XYZ MLM company. And now that I'm part of it, I see people there that are like gazillionaires and millionaires. And so I want to make a gazillion or millions or gazillions of dollars. So I think I found my answer because other people have done it. Right? You may or may not have found your answer. It may be part of your progression, but it may not actually be your answer, but you don't know that yet. And what happens is you start focusing on what it is that you want, and then you shift towards focusing on your channel. Focusing on what you want brought you to a channel. It doesn't mean you stay on that channel till you get what you want. You may receive what you want through one channel or hundreds or thousands of channels to receive what you want. But it doesn't really matter. What you focus on is what you want, and you let revelation, inspiration, and intuition guide you to the channel. But if you're like, no, doggone it, I want to be a real estate investor, because this was me, okay? And I've done it, all right? I want to be a real estate investor, dang it, dang it, dang it, because they're rich, rich, rich. And that's what Robert Kiyosaki, which by everybody thinks, no, he built a freaking business. It was his wife who was the better real estate investor, okay? Kim Kiyosaki. But anyhow, people have this idea, right? Because he promotes it. Of course he promotes it, because once you have a ton of money like Oprah, you kind of have to go buy something. And you can only have so many diamonds, furs, and automobiles and planes. And real estate tends to hold its value and or go up over time. So if you don't want to lose your wealth and you don't want the government to take it all, it usually ends up in some form of real estate when you have that kind of money, right? But I'm going to be a real estate investor. That's how I was at one point, and I almost missed an opportunity. And that opportunity I almost missed is the one that helped my income go from $5,000, $6,000 a month all the way up to $50,000 a month almost instantaneously. If I would have been focused only on real estate investing, which I was at the time, and not open to some other channels, I would have totally missed it. I thought all you gotta do is teach me how to do these special things. If you show me how to do this, how, I'll go do those things and I'll get what other people got. But if my subconscious program is not in the same place theirs was when they were doing the thing, I'm not gonna get what they got. I'm gonna get whatever my subconscious tells me I'm allowed to have. And I get to tell it what that is, but at this point, it's telling me what I'm allowed to have, because I didn't know how to reprogram myself. But once I learned how to reprogram myself and accept things I needed to accept around money, and open myself up to say, hey, I just know what I want. I didn't want to do real estate. I just saw other people doing real estate at the time, and I thought that's a good idea. And it actually was a good idea for me, because I've done some. But it actually gave me a different opportunity where I got to work with a company and sell their education to others that trained other people how to be a real estate investor. And that is where I made a huge chunk of money within a matter of a couple months after attending a Science of Getting Rich seminar. Now I could go back and say, well, it was that thing right there. No, here's what it was. I had an intention out there of how I wanted my life to be. In my life, it had more money in it, and I worked less hours. That was my true intention. That was my lifestyle. I was making $5,000, $6,000 a month, working 50, 60 hours a week to receive it. I was tired of that. Some of you guys might be, I want that. That's fine. Do it for a while and then move to the next thing. But wherever you're at, you're always going to want to progress. But I was tired of that. So I didn't just want to make more money, though, because my program was more money equals more time, more effort, kill yourself 80, 100 hours. I ain't going to do that one. So as long as I had those kind of beliefs, I wasn't going to make more money either. So I had to choose what I wanted, and I chose a lifestyle. And my lifestyle was essentially this. I work part-time and I make a lot more money. I wasn't totally specific in the amount necessarily, because the money amount, I didn't know how much, but what I did is in my mind, I imagined myself living a certain way. And that certain way had all kinds of time freedom involved with it. And it had money coming in big chunks, on not necessarily monthly, but it was like chunks. Like, oh, boom, hey, $88,000 this month. Okay, that's going to cover me for a while. Hey, $150,000 over the past 2 months. All right, I'm good. I don't have to do anything for the other. I mean, I was manifesting money that allowed me to receive a bunch of money in a short period of time so that I could spend the rest of my time goofing off and having fun. That's not where I'm at today, but that's what I was then. But I received money not through only that one channel. Other channels opened up and it came to me, but my time, I didn't have to spend more time to receive it. So should you be a PGI consultant? If you feel, if you feel that you are being inspired to do it, then yeah, you should. And don't let money get in the way. For everybody, money is usually going to be in the way, by the way. If money wasn't in the way, you wouldn't be here, right? So understand though that money is going to stay in the way as long as you decide that money is going to stay in the way. What you actually have to decide is what it is that you want to receive. You may or may not receive the money instantly. I had to take advantage of my opportunity that brought me that 400,000 in 8 months. I did have to come up with $20,000+ to get started with doing what I was doing, and I didn't have it. But it was that vision of the life that I wanted. And once I made up my mind, and then an opportunity came that I knew was in alignment with that vision, I didn't say no to the opportunity. I said yes, but I've got to figure this out. It's not like I didn't have the credit lying around, I didn't have equity or whatever, but I made the decision that this is where I'm headed, and it felt right. It took me about 2 months to figure out where the money was going to come from and how to put it all together and everything. But over a period of a couple of months, I did. And then kabam, it was like, whoa, that $20,000 I borrowed, I actually borrowed 38,000 because I quit my job to start a different business. And my take home pay was about 6 grand a month. And I wanted 3 months runway. So I borrowed. Most of you guys, here's what you're going to do. I want 3 months runway. So I'm going to save 3 months. I'm not going to do anything till I got 3 to 6 months worth of money in the bank. What I did, but I was inspired, I'm going to borrow 3 months so I don't have to work. But I better freaking produce something in 3 months or I'm in trouble. But I didn't think about the trouble. I mean, yes, subconscious and stuff, but it was like, I felt led and followed that. Now, if I just decided to arbitrarily just go borrow money because I want to go to Disneyland or something, that would have been dumb, right? But you guys, a lot of times you're sitting there looking at your credit card that's gotten you in trouble, and then an opportunity comes to you and you could use it to make your life better. But I don't do that. Dave Ramsey said. Dave Ramsey's not God or the universe, nor am I. Okay. But I will say this, if it's your revelation, inspiration, intuition that tells you to do it, even if it's scary, so that's what we just talked about, that efficient action. If you don't take it, I don't know, I might have been stuck in a job for another 4 years. Or maybe it would have been 3 more days. I don't know. I don't know what opportunity would have presented itself for things to change. But a lot of times things are coming to us and we don't take advantage of them because of fear. And you know what? That fear is just your subconscious mind screwing around with you because it says that's not normal. But when you can learn how to reprogram yourself so that it'll start accepting new normals, once it becomes autopilot, it's like the multiplication tables we were talking about. And now you're working with what I call a financial thermostat. We'll use that for another discussion, but that's basically whatever level we now get stuck at financially, even if it's a good level. Because now our subconscious mind says that's normal. And now we got to convince it, no, now this is normal to move up to the next step. But we can't, the subconscious mind doesn't understand infinite. You can't say, well, I want an infinite amount of money. You got to give it an actual, you got to put a lifestyle together, a reason for money, because God has no use for money, and neither does the universe. Only we do. Okay. And we may or may not need money to get what we want. I also shared with you guys the other day how I was given a 6-figure automobile by someone that I liked that I didn't have to pay for. So, all right. I think it was it Maggie who tried to ask a question?
Yeah, do you work part-time?
Do I work part-time?
Yeah, do you do a corporate job part-time?
Oh no, I haven't worked for anybody since April 1st, 2006.
Oh.
And I haven't worked more than an average of 10, 15. If I'm really working, and when I say working, I'm talking about working in whatever it is I felt like doing at the time. I've had multiple businesses. I've been a business consultant. I've made up my mind though that for the rest of my life, I want to help people learn how to do what it was that I did years ago. How much money you need or want in your life, it doesn't really matter. I mean, I've worked with Sharon Lechter and Robert Kiyosaki. They made a lot more money than I did when they asked me to help them. But I had a specialty in an area that they needed some help with. So they asked me to help them do that, right? But no, I haven't had, your typical job or career in, what are we at now? Yay, 14, almost 15 years.
Wow.
Yep. All right, any other any other questions? We are past the time I said, but I'll take one more if there is one, or we will say, hey, let's talk tomorrow again. And by the way, some of you guys, if not all of you, received an opportunity to work together with me, and you're welcome to take advantage of that. If you didn't see it, you can go to the Facebook group, and it is the second announcement, but it's basically a program I put together called the Rat Race Eliminator. If you're interested in taking whatever your income is or has been, if you're unemployed right now, right? But whatever it is or has been, and moving it up over the next 12 to 24 months, anywhere from 3 to 10 times what it was, that is what that program is about, and we can work together on that. If you want to do that, let me know. It's limited in the size I'm going to make it, so I can give you guys the attention that you deserve for those who do participate. Or we can always talk about me being your one-on-one coach too, if you're interested in that. But mostly what I want to do Monday through Friday is not pitch you on working with me. I'm going to continue to do what we're doing right now. Those of you that feel that you should work with me already kind of have that feeling, or it's going to come to you at some point. If you don't feel it, then don't do it. If you're not doing it only because of money, you feel like, hey, this would be great, but money's in the way, that is one of the first things you're going to have to get over. So.
Do you put that on your website, how much you charge per like one-on-one coaching?
20 grand or more for 6 months. Simple.
Ooh.
Some of you are like, oh, you know, and some of you are like, okay, whatever. But the particular program I'm talking about is much less than 20 grand. Okay. But go watch that video and I talk about it. It's the second announcement. Go to the Facebook group, or, well, yeah, that would be the best way. And or through Meetup last night, I tried to anyhow, send it out to you guys. So you got a Meetup message that actually has a video that describes this particular program and how I work together with you and the benefits for you. So I'm going to go check my email a little later today and respond to whoever has said that they're interested in talking about that. But
You said 20 grand a month?
no. No, 20 grand once. But it's for 6 months of working together.
Oh.
Yeah. And I paid more than that to learn from Bob, that's for sure. It doesn't really matter. The way I look at it, when I was helping people become real estate investors, they were paying $20,000, $30,000+ for training. But if they turned around and made $100,000 over the next 12 months, really didn't care. The thing is, did they believe that they had the capability to work with someone and take that information and apply it to make their life better? And if they felt that that was possible, they did it. If they just looked at if they heard 20 grand and their brains shut down, they didn't do it, right? I used to personally one-on-one coach people for 10,000, but it's gone up because I've gotten better. That was a while ago. And people's results have gotten better and better. But if you go in that video, I talked about a couple people and what they're very recently coached and what their results have been. So, but I'd rather not so much discuss that right here. Again, this is more for conversation about law of attraction and for a burning question you might have to help you right now. So last call for any additional questions before we go.
Hey, could you talk briefly about how to change your subconscious? Because I know that's one of the main things you have to do to get to the next level. You have to change the way you think.
I'll tell you essentially the only two things that will change it. The whole process, there's a process to doing it, but if you understand the two things that will do it, that's a good start. How's that, Amber? Would that be okay?
That sounds great.
Okay. Two things that will change your subconscious mind, because they are the two things that put things in your subconscious mind. Prior to you probably being 7 or 8 years old, your subconscious was way wide open. Think of your head and is kind of a line dividing your face. And you have your conscious mind and your subconscious. Well, there's a lid, kind of a barrier there between your subconscious and your conscious mind that exists. However, things can get into it as the subconscious mind starts to believe that that's what's normal for you. But as a kid, as a really young kid, this lid between our conscious and conscious mind was pretty much non-existent. So pretty much anything in our environment that we grew up with and around got inside there. And a lot of us are still living some of the programs when we were kids that are getting in our way. But once the lid got put there and divides the conscious from the subconscious mind, now how did stuff get in there? Because things have gotten in there since we were, 8 years old, 9 years old, 7 years old, whatever. There's still things that have gotten in there. How do they get in there? One, through a very strong, powerful emotional experience. Let me repeat that. Through a very powerful, strong emotional experience where it jams right in there and the subconscious immediately accepts it, and it creates a story around whatever that experience was, makes a determination of what it's going to do about it. Unfortunately, for most of us, that thing I'm talking about was some sort of trauma. So now our subconscious mind was traumatized and accepted something as true that probably either isn't true and or we no longer want to be our truth. Because again, it doesn't decide good, bad, right, or wrong. It doesn't know truth from error. It just accepts what gets in there. But you could potentially, and there are people that maybe do this or have done this. I'm not particularly someone that this has happened for me, but there are people out there potentially in the world that have had some kind of angelic experience or something, or something that really had a strong positive impact on their life, that their subconscious totally said, I accept that now, and I throw out what it is that was different. And it actually doesn't really throw anything out. Unfortunately, it's all still in there. But one thing becomes dominant, and it now runs the show. It's the program running your computer. So a very strong, powerful emotional experience can instantaneously make something subconscious for you. What's the other way to do it? Through repetition. 3 times 9, 6 times 8, right? It's over and over and over things being repeated. And even if we don't agree with those things, at first our subconscious mind rejects it. But if we quit, or our conscious mind rejects it, is what I should say. So it never gets past the guardian of the conscious mind to the subconscious, because it's, that's BS. That's not true. That, the economy is fine. Oh, everything, my life is good. Things are going well. I can do this. Oh man, my neighbor lost their house. Oh crud. The guy I know in business like mine, he just went down the tubes. Oh no, my aunt just had blah, blah. And even though we didn't believe that, we start letting it in, and subconscious goes, oh, okay. And over and over and over, we let crap in that we don't want to manifest in our lives, to the point the subconscious mind says, well, I guess that's what's normal then. And so it flips the switch, and now you go the opposite direction of where you were hoping to be going. That's why many people that have been successful too, if they didn't know, when they say, how do you become successful? If they think it was just their smarts and their hard work, then they're really screwed, because when they try and use their smarts and hard work, in their subconscious mind is now accidentally, I say accidentally, you allowed it to happen, but you weren't thinking about it as it happened. But the outside influences and other people got in there, and now it's flipped your switch the opposite. No matter what you know from the past and who you were in the past, if your subconscious mind says, well, that's not normal anymore. What's normal is poverty. What's normal is struggle. What's normal is hurt. It's going to make sure that happens. But what I love doing is I love working with people that have already had, I love working with everybody, okay? But people that have already had some success. Because once we can get that cleared out, and it usually happens faster for them, because we can point to success from the past, not only do they regain it, but they usually regain it in multiples, and it usually happens pretty quickly. So I get excited about that. But it's basically a strong, powerful emotional experience and or repetition of a thought that creates a feeling. And if it's negative over and over, it's going to create negative for you. Good, bad, right, or wrong, subconscious doesn't care. It just goes and tries to match the essence of what it is you put in there. But if you can put something in there now that you actually pleases you, then it's going to eventually accept it And it's going to actually, from that point forward, start saying, now, is this what's normal? And you go, yes, it is. Okay, I'm going to help you. It may come back later, and it's not going to say it exactly this way, but you may have have success for 3 months now, 4 months, 5 months. Occasionally, it's going to test you again. It's going to come back. Okay, now, are you sure this is normal? We started changing this 4 months ago, but for the previous 10 months, it was crap. Are we supposed to stay on this as normal, or should we go back to crap? No, we should stay on this as normal. How do you make sure you stay on the good as normal? You have to purposely choose what you put in. And you got to stay away as much as you possibly can of whatever it is you don't want to get in there. And almost anything that makes us feel bad in relationship to entertainment, in relationship to the news or whatever, is going to create an image. We think in pictures. We don't think in words. When I say the word water, you usually don't see WATER come across your mind. You see some form of water. When I say, hey, Thanksgiving turkey, think of a Thanksgiving turkey. You don't think TURKEY. You see a turkey. If you like turkey, you may even feel good. If you can't stand turkey for some strange reason, you're like, and it brings a bad feeling to you. Okay. So Amber, those are the two ways. The process is to repeat, though, to yourself, and you've got to choose what that is. I can give you things, but it's better if I help you understand the process, and then you choose what you want to put in. But as you choose what you want to put in, you're going to go through a process of change. If you've had some successes already, which most of us have had some kind, even if they're not financial, we can build on those to help your subconscious mind know that stuff like that is more normal than the bad crap that's been going on. Okay. Alrighty. Well, I personally am going to get going right now. Gave you some extra time today, and look forward to working with those of you who choose to work with me in a coaching capacity. But for the most part, again, this is for us to talk with each other and spend 45 minutes or so daily, and there's no charge to doing this. Thank you so much for the time that we've spent together, and look forward to seeing you tomorrow and the next day. As it was tomorrow, Friday, maybe not the next day, that'd be Saturday, but see you Monday through Friday. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank
Thank
you.
you, Kevin.